What do your words reveal about you? Every time you open your mouth, the world sees your mind, your discipline, your strength, or your weakness. Words are not empty sounds. They are signals of your intelligence, your character, and the way you carry yourself. They can elevate you, or they can destroy you. The most intelligent men understand that their words are not just communication, they are their reputation. People will forget many things about you, but they will never forget how your words made them feel. Think about it. A single careless sentence can close doors, break respect, and erase years of hard work. A single powerful sentence, spoken with intention, can open opportunities, win loyalty, and build trust. That is why intelligent men treat words like weapons. They know every phrase carries weight. They know every word can shape the perception others have of them. And they know that silence, when chosen wisely, often speaks louder than anything else. The truth is, your intelligence is not proven by what you know. It is revealed by what you say, and more importantly, by what you choose never to say. Weak men waste their words. They speak without thinking. They blurt out excuses, complaints, and negativity that expose their lack of self-control. Intelligent men refuse to do that. They master their language the same way they master their habits, their emotions, and their lives. When you hear someone constantly speaking from fear, bitterness, or limitation, you can see their mind is trapped. You can see they are ruled by insecurity. You can see they are not in control of themselves. But when you hear a man who speaks with clarity, restraint, and power, you recognize something different. You recognize intelligence. You recognize strength. And people are naturally drawn to him, because his words make them feel safer, more inspired, more willing to follow. This is why you need to pay close attention. Because it is not only about what you should say, it is about what you should never say. There are certain phrases that instantly reveal weakness, and once those words leave your mouth, you cannot take them back. They create an impression that sticks. Intelligent men know this. They protect themselves from ever sounding small, bitter, careless, or broken. They avoid the language that drains power, and they choose the language that builds it. And here is the reward for you. When you master this, you change the way the world sees you. You build respect without forcing it. You earn trust without begging for it. You inspire others without even trying. Because people feel the difference. They feel that your words come from a place of discipline and confidence. They feel that you are not ruled by emotion, but by intention. And that is rare. That is why those who learn to control their language rise above everyone else. Stay here, because what follows will open your eyes to the 7 phrases that an intelligent man never allows to leave his lips. Avoiding them will protect your power, strengthen your reputation, and separate you from the men who sabotage themselves with their own voices. If you want to be respected, admired, and remembered as intelligent, you must know these truths. And once you do, every word you speak will work for you, not against you. People are watching you more closely than you realize. Every word you release into the world becomes a reflection of your values, your discipline, and your inner strength. You may think no one notices, but they do. They notice how you speak under pressure. They notice how you react when things don't go your way. They notice the language you choose when your emotions are stirred. In those moments, your words become your identity. They reveal whether you are grounded in intelligence or driven by impulse. Human psychology proves this truth again and again. People make judgments about your character in seconds, and those judgments are rarely based on what you wear, what you drive, or even what you've achieved. They are based on how you speak. Words are windows into the mind, and people instinctively use them to decide whether you are worthy of respect, trust, or influence. A man who speaks carelessly exposes his weakness. A man who speaks with purpose demonstrates his intelligence before he even finishes his sentence. What makes this even more powerful is the fact that words do not only influence others, they influence you. Every time you speak, you are programming your own mind. Negative words train your brain to expect failure. Excuses condition you to surrender before you even try. Defeatist language creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where you become the very weakness you keep speaking about. But when you discipline your mouth, you discipline your mind. When you replace destructive words with empowering ones, you transform the way you see yourself and the way others see you. This is why intelligent men guard their speech like treasure. They know that silence is better than words that drain power. They understand that language can either build credibility or destroy it in an instant. They choose restraint not because they are afraid to speak, but because they value the weight of their voice. They know that wisdom is not measured by how much they talk, but by how much value their words bring when they finally do. Think of the people you admire most, the ones whose words linger in your mind long after they've spoken. It is never because they were loud, careless, or arrogant. It is because their words carried intention. Their words were sharpened by thought, by discipline, by clarity. This is the path of an intelligent man. He speaks less, but when he does, he commands attention. He avoids weak language, and in doing so, he sets himself apart in a world full of noise. The challenge for you is simple but not easy. Train yourself to listen before you speak. Ask yourself if your words build respect or weaken it. Ask yourself if your language reflects strength or insecurity. Ask yourself if silence might serve you better than the sentence you're about to release. That level of discipline is what separates those who rise from those who remain unnoticed. If you want to lead, if you want to inspire, if you want to be remembered as a man of intelligence and character, you must start with your words. Respect begins there, influence begins there, power begins there. The way you speak is not just communication, it is transformation. And when you master this truth, you stop living as a prisoner of careless speech and step into the identity of someone who commands respect with every word, or even with none at all. The first sign of weakness in speech appears when a man declares, "I can't do it." Those 4 words destroy more potential than failure ever could. They are not just a statement, they are a surrender. They announce to the world and to yourself that you are beaten before you even begin. Intelligent men refuse to use such language because they know the mind listens to every word it hears, and when you declare defeat, your brain obeys. Psychologists call this learned helplessness, the condition where repeated doubt convinces you that no effort will change the outcome. But intelligent men fight against it. They understand that the words you choose shape the limits of your reality. If you keep saying you can't, you train yourself not to see solutions, not to take risks, not to grow. You paralyze your own potential with your tongue. And when you do that, you don't just weaken yourself, you lose the respect of everyone around you. No one admires the man who gives up before trying. People look up to those who step into challenges with courage, even when the odds are stacked against them. That is why intelligent men never poison their speech with "I can't." They replace it with possibility. They replace it with action. They replace it with a language that reflects effort and belief. Even when they are unsure, they speak in terms of learning, adapting, and improving. Their words show that their spirit is unbreakable, and that makes people trust them, follow them, and respect them. The truth is, you do not need certainty to succeed. You need the courage to step forward despite uncertainty. Words are the first step. When you say, "I will try," your mind begins searching for solutions. When you say, "I will find a way," you unlock creativity and persistence. When you say, "I will figure it out," you build resilience. Intelligent men understand this. Language is not just communication, it is self-programming. You become what you speak. Every time you choose words of possibility, you reinforce the belief that you are capable. You strengthen your confidence. You create momentum, and momentum creates results. This is why intelligent men guard against defeatist language. They know that failure is never final unless it is accepted, and acceptance begins in the mouth. They would rather face struggle than surrender, because struggle still contains the possibility of victory. Surrender ends it before it starts. Think about the men who have inspired history. None of them were certain of their success in the beginning, but they refused to use the language of defeat. They spoke possibility into existence, and their persistence turned impossible goals into reality. That is what sets them apart, and that same principle is available to you right now. Stop telling yourself what you can't do. Stop programming your mind with limits. Every time you want to say those words, replace them with strength, replace them with intention, replace them with courage. Because when you change your language, you change your mindset. When you change your mindset, you change your life. And when you refuse to speak defeat, you step into the identity of the intelligent man who knows that even when the path is hard, the possibility of triumph is always worth fighting for. Another phrase that never leaves the mouth of an intelligent man is, "It's not my fault." Those words may feel like protection in the moment, but in truth, they strip away your power. They announce to the world that you are not in control of your life. They signal that you would rather place blame than take responsibility. And nothing destroys respect faster than a man who runs from accountability. Blame is easy. Excuses are easy. Pointing the finger requires no courage, no discipline, and no strength. But responsibility, that is where growth begins. Intelligent men understand this deeply. They know that even when something is not entirely their fault, ownership is the only path to power, because the moment you deny responsibility, you also deny your ability to change the outcome. You hand over your control to circumstance, to chance, or to someone else. And a man who surrenders control is a man who chooses weakness. Psychology reveals that those who embrace responsibility develop higher resilience and greater confidence. Taking ownership rewires your brain to believe you can create change. It transforms setbacks into lessons, mistakes into growth, and challenges into opportunities. Every time you say, "It's my responsibility," you step closer to mastery. Every time you say, "It's not my fault," you step deeper into helplessness. Intelligent men never let their words betray weakness. They speak the language of ownership, even when it hurts, because they know accountability builds strength. Think about the impression your words leave on others. When you avoid responsibility, you appear fragile, defensive, and unreliable. People lose trust in you, because no one can rely on a man who refuses to own his actions. But when you take responsibility, even for mistakes, people respect you. They see maturity, confidence, and courage. They see someone who can be trusted with leadership, because he does not hide from consequences. Intelligent men know that respect is earned in those moments of truth, when they stand tall and say, "I will take care of it. I will make it right." This mindset does not mean accepting blame for everything that happens in the world. It means refusing to give away your power. It means choosing to see yourself as capable of changing outcomes, even in difficult circumstances. Intelligent men do not waste time pointing fingers. They ask, "What can I do about it? How can I grow from this? How do I move forward stronger than before?" That attitude sets them apart, and it is why they continue to rise, while others remain stuck in cycles of blame. The choice is always yours. You can keep weakening yourself with excuses, or you can strengthen yourself with responsibility. Every time you accept accountability, you prove to yourself that you are in control. You train your mind to act instead of complain, to create instead of escape. And when you live this way consistently, you become the man others trust, follow, and respect. Never again let the phrase "it's not my fault" leave your lips. Replace it with strength, replace it with ownership, replace it with the mindset of an intelligent man who knows that responsibility is not a burden, but a weapon. Because the moment you claim it, you stop being a victim of life, and you become the author of it. One of the quickest ways a man reveals arrogance and closes the door to growth is by saying, "I already know that." Those words may sound harmless, but they are poison to intelligence. They create a wall that blocks new knowledge, new perspective, and new opportunity. An intelligent man never uses them, because he understands that no matter how much he has learned, there is always more to discover. The moment you claim to know everything is the moment you stop evolving. Arrogance is the enemy of progress. When you dismiss information because you think you have already mastered it, you miss the chance to refine your skills, deepen your understanding, or see things in a new light. Psychology shows us that true experts remain humble learners, constantly seeking fresh insights. They know mastery is not a destination. It is a lifelong journey. Intelligent men are not threatened by learning the basics again, because they understand that repetition strengthens mastery, and humility sharpens wisdom. The phrase "I already know that" is not just arrogance toward others, it is self-sabotage. It signals that your mind is closed, that you are unwilling to stretch beyond your current limits. And a closed mind quickly becomes a stagnant mind. Intelligent men, however, remain curious. They ask questions, they listen with intent, and they recognize that even a single sentence can contain the spark that changes everything. They would rather appear humble and keep learning than appear arrogant and stay blind. Consider how others perceive a man who constantly acts like he knows everything. He loses respect, not because of his knowledge, but because of his attitude. People avoid sharing ideas with him, because they know he will dismiss them. He isolates himself without realizing it, and his arrogance becomes his cage. In contrast, a man who listens with openness, even when he has heard the idea before, earns trust. He shows respect, and in return, he receives it. That is the difference between arrogance and intelligence. There is incredible strength in humility. Intelligent men recognize that every person they meet knows something they don't. They value every perspective, because even small pieces of wisdom can expand their vision. They train their minds to remain teachable, because they know a mind that stops learning begins dying. Every conversation becomes an opportunity, every book a doorway, every challenge a teacher. They never limit themselves by pretending they have all the answers. When you silence the words "I already know that" from your vocabulary, you unlock continuous growth. You transform yourself into a man who adapts, evolves, and rises higher with every experience. People respect you because they see you are not bound by pride, but driven by progress. You gain influence, not by acting superior, but by showing that your mind is always open, always ready to sharpen itself further. Do not allow arrogance to rob you of wisdom. Choose curiosity over pride. Choose humility over dismissal. Train yourself to listen fully, to absorb, to reflect, even when the lesson feels familiar. Because the truth is, every time you humble yourself to learn, you sharpen your intelligence. And when you do this consistently, you step into the identity of a man who never stops growing, never stops improving, and never stops rising above the ordinary. Another phrase that never escapes the mouth of an intelligent man is, "That's impossible." Those words shut the door on progress before it even begins. They kill creativity, extinguish hope, and chain the mind to limitation. Intelligent men understand that what is called impossible today often becomes reality tomorrow. History proves this again and again. The boundaries of what can be achieved are not fixed. They expand with courage, vision, and relentless determination. When a man says, "That's impossible," he reveals fear disguised as logic. He exposes a mindset trapped by doubt, unwilling to challenge the limits placed before him. Psychology shows that the human brain is wired to search for solutions to problems it believes are solvable. But the moment you label something impossible, your brain stops searching. You program yourself to fail, not because it truly cannot be done, but because you have already decided to quit. Intelligent men never let those words escape their lips, because they know possibility is the foundation of progress. Greatness does not come from certainty. It comes from the willingness to pursue what others fear to attempt. Intelligent men keep their language aligned with that truth. Instead of declaring something impossible, they ask, "How can it be done?" Instead of closing the door, they push it open wider. They use their words to keep their vision alive, even when the path is unclear. Because they know the moment they give voice to impossibility, they give power to limitation. Consider how others respond to these words. When a man constantly says something cannot be done, people lose confidence in him. He becomes the voice of doubt, the anchor that drags progress down. No one follows a man who surrenders before the fight. But when a man speaks possibility, even in the face of challenge, he inspires belief. He becomes the one others trust to lead, because his words create vision instead of fear. That is the mark of an intelligent man. His speech fuels hope, not despair. The truth is, everything great once looked impossible. Every breakthrough, every invention, every act of courage was once dismissed as unrealistic, yet it was achieved by those who refused to limit their language, by those who replaced impossible with determination. Intelligent men understand that even failure is more valuable than surrender, because failure teaches, but surrender kills the dream before it lives. That is why they protect their words with discipline. They will never declare something impossible, because they know possibility is the seed of greatness. When you remove the phrase "that's impossible" from your vocabulary, you rewire your mind for growth. You begin to see challenges differently. Obstacles become puzzles to solve. Limits become opportunities to push further. Every time you choose words of possibility, you strengthen the belief that you are capable of more than you imagine. That belief changes how you think, how you act, and how others see you. Never again let your voice be the reason you fail. Refuse to speak limitation into existence. Replace the language of impossibility with the language of determination, courage, and vision. Speak as the intelligent man does, with words that open doors, expand horizons, and call forth strength. Because when your language declares possibility, your life begins to reflect it, and that is how ordinary men become extraordinary. An intelligent man also refuses to let the words "I hate that person" leave his mouth. Hatred is not strength. It is weakness exposed. It is wasted energy, an admission that someone else has the power to disturb your peace and control your emotions. When you speak hatred, you declare that another human being holds influence over your state of mind. Intelligent men never allow that, because they understand that true power is emotional discipline. Hatred clouds judgment. It narrows perspective and blinds you to solutions. Psychology shows that emotions like hatred trigger stress responses in the body, weakening clarity, damaging health, and making decisions reckless. Intelligent men guard their words against it, because they know that hatred destroys the one who holds it, not the one it is directed toward. To say I hate is to show that you have surrendered your balance to negativity. To remain calm and composed in the presence of conflict, however, is to show mastery. People watch carefully how a man handles his adversaries. When he reacts with hatred, he reveals immaturity and instability. He loses respect because hatred is seen as a lack of control, but when he responds with restraint, he earns admiration. He shows he cannot be shaken, that his focus is too strong to be broken by bitterness. Intelligent men replace hatred with understanding, with detachment, with silence if needed. They do not waste their voices fueling conflict. They rise above it. This is not about being passive. It is about being powerful. Hatred is easy, discipline is hard. Anyone can let anger spill from their lips. Few can hold their composure, channel their focus, and choose their words with intention. Intelligent men know that those who master their emotions master their destiny. They never degrade themselves by declaring hatred, because they understand that dignity is worth more than the temporary release of anger. The words you use toward others shape the way people view you. If your speech is poisoned with hatred, you will be remembered as bitter and unstable. If your speech reflects composure and control, you will be remembered as wise and unshakable. Intelligent men think beyond the moment. They protect their reputation by guarding their language, especially in conflict. They choose silence where others explode, and strategy where others collapse into anger. Hatred is a cage that traps small minds. Intelligent men choose freedom. They invest their energy into progress, not resentment. They understand that hate weakens the hater more than it harms the hated. By refusing to say I hate that person, they free themselves to focus on growth, achievement, and the pursuit of higher goals. They refuse to let their lips betray weakness. Never again allow hatred to slip into your language. Do not hand over your power to anyone. Replace the words of resentment with the strength of self-control. Train your speech to reflect composure, discipline, and vision. Because the man who speaks without hatred is the man who commands respect, influence, and inner peace. Intelligent men know this, and when you live by the same principle, your words stop reflecting weakness and begin reflecting mastery. That is the language of true intelligence. Another phrase that never passes the lips of an intelligent man is, I don't care. On the surface it may sound like indifference, but in reality it reveals emptiness. It suggests a lack of purpose, a lack of values, a lack of direction. Intelligent men never allow those words to define them, because they understand that what you claim not to care about tells the world what you stand for. To declare indifference is to admit weakness of focus and weakness of conviction. Caring is not vulnerability, it is power. The human mind is wired to give energy to what it values, and the words you choose reinforce those values. When you speak as if nothing matters, you teach yourself that nothing is worth effort, loyalty, or discipline. Psychology proves that apathy kills motivation, destroys drive, and weakens the will to grow. Intelligent men know this, and they guard their speech carefully. They may be selective about what deserves their energy, but they never devalue their lives by claiming they do not care. The truth is, those words are often used as armor. They are spoken to hide fear of rejection, failure, or judgment. But what they actually reveal is insecurity. Intelligent men never try to mask weakness with indifference. They show strength by choosing clarity. They know what matters to them, and they speak it with confidence. Their words carry weight because they are anchored in conviction, not in empty dismissal. When people hear a man say he doesn't care, they see someone uncommitted, someone unreliable, someone who lacks vision. No one follows that kind of man. No one respects him. But when a man speaks with clear intention about what he values, he becomes magnetic. His care shows direction. His passion shows strength. Intelligent men are respected because their words reflect focus and discipline, never apathy. This is the difference between weakness and intelligence. Weakness hides behind careless indifference. Intelligence stands tall with purposeful conviction. Intelligent men do not scatter their energy across everything, but they direct it toward what aligns with their vision. They say, this matters, this is worth my time, this is worth my effort. And when they speak that way, people trust them, people follow them, people believe in them. Indifference is a slow death. It erodes ambition and kills progress. Intelligent men refuse to let such words shape their identity. They protect their speech from apathy because they know passion is the fuel of greatness. They choose to care deeply, but wisely. They know that energy is precious, and they give it only to what builds, strengthens, and elevates them. Remove "I don't care" from your vocabulary. Replace it with words of focus, words of purpose, words that show what you stand for. Speak in a way that reflects direction, not emptiness. Intelligent men know that clarity commands respect, and apathy commands nothing. Choose to show through your words that you are a man of values, a man of discipline, a man who is driven by purpose. Because when your speech reflects what you truly care about, your life follows, and the world begins to recognize you as someone who lives with strength, not weakness. Another phrase that reveals weakness and never leaves the mouth of an intelligent man is, "That's just how I am." Those words are the anthem of stagnation. They are an excuse dressed as identity. They claim to describe truth, but in reality they are a shield to avoid growth. Intelligent men never reduce themselves to static beings. They know that character is not fixed, that habits can change, and that greatness comes from evolution. When you say, "That's just how I am," you trap yourself in limitation. You declare that you are incapable of growth, incapable of transformation, incapable of becoming better. Psychology shows that this is the language of a fixed mindset, the belief that abilities and traits are permanent. But intelligent men live by the opposite belief, the growth mindset. They know that identity is fluid, that effort reshapes character, and that change is always possible. Their words reflect this truth. An intelligent man never hides behind excuses. He never lets weakness disguise itself as personality. If he struggles with patience, he does not say, "That's just who I am." He works to develop patience. If he struggles with discipline, he does not surrender to it. He builds systems, he sharpens habits, he pushes through discomfort. His language reflects responsibility, not resignation. He speaks growth into existence, not limitations. The words you use to describe yourself become the walls of your life. When you define yourself by your flaws, you solidify them. You build a prison with your own tongue, and then you lock yourself inside it. But when you define yourself by your potential, you expand. You create space for growth, for evolution, for change. Intelligent men choose words that align with who they want to become, not words that chain them to who they used to be. People can sense the difference immediately. When they hear a man dismiss accountability with, "That's just how I am," they see someone unwilling to grow. Respect fades because no one admires a man who hides behind excuses. But when they hear a man speak ownership, when he says, "I'm working on it, I'm improving, I'm evolving," they feel trust, they see strength, they recognize intelligence. Intelligent men attract respect because their language shows they are not limited by their past, they are driven by their future. The truth is, identity is not found, it is built. Every choice, every habit, every word shapes who you are becoming. Intelligent men never forget this. They protect their speech from resignation because they know their words are blueprints for their future. They use their language to reinforce growth, not stagnation. They remind themselves through their speech that they are always capable of becoming sharper, stronger, wiser. Eliminate the phrase "that's just how I am" from your life. Never let it leave your lips again. Replace it with words that reflect ownership and transformation. Speak as a man who is constantly becoming, constantly evolving, constantly pushing into the next level of himself. That is the mindset of intelligence. That is the language of strength. And when you commit to it fully, you stop limiting yourself to the man you were yesterday and step boldly into the man you are destined to become. Weak words do not disappear after they are spoken. They leave marks. They shape the way people see you, the way they remember you, and the way they respond to you. Every careless phrase builds an image in the minds of others, and once that image is formed, it becomes difficult to change. Intelligent men understand this reality. They know that words are not temporary. They echo in reputations, in opportunities gained or lost, in the silent judgments people carry with them. When you speak from weakness, you undermine yourself without even realizing it. A single excuse can plant doubt about your reliability. A single outburst can destroy trust that took years to build. A single careless comment can close doors that might never open again. People may forgive, but they rarely forget the words that revealed the truth of your character. This is why intelligent men weigh every phrase. They recognize that words carry hidden costs, and careless speech is a debt that always comes due. Psychology confirms this truth. Language creates perception, and perception shapes reality. If your words constantly reflect limitation, negativity, or avoidance, people will treat you according to that image. They will see you as weak, and they will handle you like someone unworthy of leadership or respect. On the other hand, when your words consistently show clarity, strength, and composure, people cannot help but respect you. They see you as reliable, as powerful, as a man whose presence carries weight. The difference comes down to the discipline of your speech. The danger of weak words is not only in how others see you, it is also in how you begin to see yourself. Every time you repeat an excuse, a complaint, or a phrase of limitation, you reinforce it in your own mind. Your language becomes your identity shapes your actions, and your actions create your future. This cycle is either the foundation of growth or the prison of stagnation. Intelligent men know this, and they choose their words carefully to build futures of strength, not weakness. If you want to rise, you must stop letting your tongue betray your potential. Stop scattering your power through words that drain you. Stop eroding your respect with language that reflects laziness or fear. Guard your speech like you guard your most valuable possessions, because it carries equal weight. Once it leaves your mouth, it cannot be taken back. Once it leaves your mouth, it becomes part of how the world defines you. The discipline begins with awareness. Pay attention to the phrases you repeat. Notice the words that weaken you, the ones that reveal excuses, the ones that show doubt. Then remove them. Replace them with language that builds you, that reminds you of your strength, that reflects the man you want to be. Intelligent men rise not because they never struggle, but because they never let their words confirm defeat. Their speech aligns with their vision, and that alignment creates power. Weak words cost too much. They steal opportunities, they destroy credibility, and they weaken self-belief. Intelligent men refuse to pay that price. They use their words to command respect, to inspire trust, and to reinforce the mindset of growth. This is your path as well. Speak with intention, speak with clarity. Speak only in ways that elevate your reputation instead of tearing it down. Because once you understand the cost of careless speech, you will never again waste words on anything that diminishes who you are becoming. There is another truth about speech that cannot be ignored. The words you choose are a mirror of your discipline. A man who constantly fills silence with meaningless chatter, exaggerated statements, or reckless remarks reveals a lack of control over himself. And control is everything. People may tolerate flaws, but they will not respect a man who cannot govern his own mouth. Intelligent men understand that silence can carry more strength than unnecessary words, because silence is never wasted, but careless speech always is. The temptation to speak without thought is rooted in ego. It is the desire to prove something, to demand attention, to show superiority by dominating conversation. Yet the opposite effect is achieved. The more you speak just to fill the air, the less value your words carry. The more you exaggerate to impress, the more people doubt your truth. The more you interrupt or rush to respond, the more obvious it becomes that you are not listening. And listening is the foundation of true wisdom. Intelligent men avoid this trap. They speak less, but when they speak, their words matter. Psychologists know that people remember not the quantity of what was said, but the intensity of what left an impact. A single measured phrase, delivered at the right moment, can shift an entire conversation, while endless rambling leaves nothing behind. This is why those who master restraint are seen as powerful. Their discipline makes their voice heavier. Their silence makes their presence louder. Their ability to wait before speaking shows confidence rather than insecurity. And that confidence is magnetic. It draws respect without ever needing to be demanded. When a man cannot control his words, he begins to reveal things that should remain private. He leaks his weaknesses. He exposes his frustrations. He shares plans too soon, giving others the chance to sabotage them. He tries to impress by boasting, but ends up shrinking in the eyes of others. This is why restraint is not just a sign of intelligence, it is protection. Every word you do not waste preserves your power. Every word you do not misuse strengthens your authority. The strongest men are not the loudest. They are the ones who have mastered their tongue. They know when to hold back. They know when to let silence speak for them. And when they do choose to speak, the world listens. Because their words are not drowned in noise, they are amplified by rarity. Their voice becomes a currency that people value, rather than an endless supply that people ignore. This discipline begins with a shift in awareness. Before you speak, ask yourself, does this add value? Does this build respect? Does this align with who I am becoming? If the answer is no, stay silent. Let your silence carry the weight your words could not. Intelligent men use restraint as a weapon, and with it they win battles others never even notice. Your power lies not only in what you say, but in what you refuse to say. The ability to hold back, to protect your thoughts until the right moment, to use words sparingly but effectively, separates you from the masses. Most men cannot resist the urge to prove themselves through speech. Intelligent men never need to. Their silence proves it for them. And when they finally choose to break that silence, their words carry the kind of weight that moves people, changes outcomes, and builds unshakable respect. Restraint in speech is only one layer of a deeper mastery, the mastery of emotional control. A man who cannot command his emotions becomes a slave to them. Anger makes him reckless, fear makes him hesitant, desire blinds him, jealousy poisons him. Every decision he makes under the influence of these forces chips away at his authority, his reputation, and his future. Yet the man who learns to govern what rises within him gains a strength that no circumstance can overthrow. People instinctively sense whether someone has control over themselves. It is written in body language, in tone, in the steadiness of their presence. A man who reacts impulsively broadcasts weakness because it shows he is ruled by external forces instead of internal discipline. The intelligent man understands that true dominance begins within. If he cannot control what happens inside, he will never master what happens outside. Emotional discipline becomes his armor, his weapon, and his advantage. Consider how anger destroys credibility. A single outburst can undo years of respect. When you lash out, you hand over your power to the very thing that triggered you. The world sees that you can be manipulated, provoked, and broken by small disturbances. But when you remain composed in moments of pressure, when you refuse to give away your calm, you demonstrate strength that cannot be shaken. Intelligent men understand that control under fire earns respect in ways that no words ever could. Fear is another chain that binds those who lack discipline. It whispers excuses. It magnifies obstacles. It convinces men to retreat before they even try. But intelligent men recognize fear as a signal, not a command. They feel it, acknowledge it, but never let it dictate their path. Their ability to walk forward in spite of fear separates them from the weak. Emotional control does not mean the absence of fear. It means mastery over its influence. Desire, too, must be disciplined. Men who chase every temptation are easily destroyed by them. Whether it is the hunger for validation, the lure of indulgence, or the craving for shortcuts. Uncontrolled desire strips men of dignity and focus. Intelligent men channel their desires into fuel, not chains. They pursue vision instead of distraction. They build discipline around pleasure, so that pleasure never consumes them. In this they gain freedom where others find enslavement. Even jealousy reveals the absence of control. It breeds bitterness, comparison, and quiet resentment. But intelligent men do not measure their worth against others. They understand that envy wastes energy that could be used to build their own greatness. Instead of resenting what others have, they sharpen their focus on their own path, conserving emotional power for progress rather than poison. This is why emotional discipline is the highest form of strength. It allows a man to move with clarity when others are blinded by impulses. It allows him to hold his ground when others crumble. It allows him to remain respected even in chaos, because chaos does not dictate his responses. And this is what draws people toward him. Leaders, allies, even rivals, all respect the man who cannot be shaken from within. You are respected not for how you feel, but for how you govern what you feel. Mastery of your emotions is mastery of your life. Those who let emotions control them are ordinary. Those who master emotions become extraordinary. And it is in that mastery where true intelligence, true power, and true influence are revealed. Control over emotions means nothing if the mind itself is left undisciplined. A scattered mind is a weak mind, easily swayed, easily manipulated, and easily defeated. Intelligent men understand that focus is not a luxury, it is survival. Every distraction steals from their strength. Every wasted thought dilutes their power. To rise above mediocrity, a man must take command of his own mind with the same precision and intensity as a warrior handling his weapon. The undisciplined mind drifts toward negativity. It feeds on doubt, invents fears, and clings to past failures. Left unchecked, it becomes the greatest enemy, sabotaging progress before the world even has a chance to oppose it. But when the mind is trained, when it is sharpened, it becomes a fortress that no external force can breach. Intelligent men do not allow thoughts of weakness to linger. They replace them with thoughts that empower, strengthen, and build momentum. They understand that every thought is either a tool or a trap, and they choose their tools wisely. Focus is power because energy flows where attention goes. The man who cannot control his attention is powerless, scattering his strength across meaningless pursuits. But the man who directs his attention with precision turns small actions into massive results. Intelligent men cut off distractions, not because they lack options, but because they know their future depends on where their mind remains fixed. They understand that clarity is rare, and that those who cultivate it rise above the masses who drown in noise. The disciplined mind is not only focused but resilient. It does not collapse under pressure. It does not bend to the weight of stress. It does not surrender when things become difficult. Instead, it sharpens under adversity. Intelligent men welcome challenges because they know each obstacle strengthens their mental armor. Where others break, they adapt. Where others complain, they concentrate. Their ability to hold steady in chaos is not chance. It is the product of training their mind to remain unshaken. Mental discipline is also the rejection of instant gratification. The weak crave the immediate, the temporary, the easy. They cannot wait, they cannot endure, they cannot sacrifice. But intelligent men delay what they want now for what they want most. They understand that lasting achievement is built through patience and persistence. Each time they deny the pull of indulgence, they harden their will. Each time they choose the long term over the short term, they rise above the common. They know that greatness does not belong to those who react to impulses, but to those who command them. Every victory begins in the mind. Every downfall begins there as well. The man who loses control of his thoughts loses control of his life. But the man who governs his thoughts with discipline becomes unstoppable. He sees possibilities where others see dead ends. He finds solutions where others find excuses. His mind becomes a weapon, sharp, precise, and undefeatable. Mastery of the mind creates mastery of reality. A disciplined mind does not just react to life, it shapes it. Those who lack this discipline remain followers, tossed in every direction by circumstance. Those who cultivate it become leaders, carving direction through sheer clarity and mental strength. The difference is visible. One is consumed by life, the other consumes life. And it is in that difference where true intelligence, true authority, and true influence are born. Strength of the mind means nothing without strength of character. A man may be intelligent, focused, and capable, but if his words lack integrity, if his actions betray his principles, then all his discipline crumbles into emptiness. True power cannot exist in deception, because lies corrode the very foundation of respect and trust. Intelligent men understand that their reputation is built not by what they claim, but by what they consistently prove through their choices. Each action is a declaration of who they are, and each decision either fortifies their character or fractures it. Integrity is not convenience. It is not something held when it is easy and abandoned when it is hard. It is the unshakable commitment to truth, even when truth costs something. Weak men bend their morals for comfort, for approval, for temporary gain, but in doing so, they surrender their honor. Intelligent men refuse to trade authenticity for applause. They would rather stand alone in silence than be praised for a life of hypocrisy. They understand that dignity cannot be borrowed, bought, or faked. It must be lived. Consistency is the mark of true character. Anyone can act righteous in moments of ease, but the test comes in the shadows, when no one is watching, when shortcuts tempt, when silence would protect. Intelligent men know that their private decisions define their public reality. They act with the same discipline in secret as they do under the gaze of the world. They do not live for perception, they live for principle. This alignment between thought, word, and action gives them a presence that cannot be imitated, a respect that cannot be stolen. Courage is woven into the very fabric of integrity. To uphold truth in a world of deception requires strength. To refuse corruption when others embrace it requires resolve. Intelligent men are not fearless, but they act with courage despite fear. They face judgment, ridicule, and resistance without surrendering their values. Each time they choose principle over comfort, their spirit grows unbreakable. Their courage becomes contagious, inspiring others to rise, to refuse, to demand more of themselves. Honor is not found in titles, positions, or possessions. It is found in the way a man carries himself, the standards he refuses to lower, and the respect he earns through sacrifice. Intelligent men know that real authority is not forced. It is granted. People follow those whose character commands it. Respect cannot be demanded by arrogance, but it flows naturally toward those who prove themselves worthy. A man who honors his word, who protects his integrity, who embodies consistency becomes a foundation others can rely on. Character is tested not in moments of triumph but in moments of struggle. When betrayal strikes, when failure looms, when the world grows hostile, the weak compromise. They adjust their values to survive. But intelligent men rise higher. They refuse to betray themselves even if everything else is lost. They know that possessions can be taken, positions can be stripped, opportunities can disappear, but integrity is untouchable unless surrendered. And because they refuse to surrender it, they remain unconquerable. The disciplined mind, fused with unwavering character, creates a man of rare strength, a man whose presence commands respect without words, a man whose actions inspire without effort, a man who moves through life unshaken by storms, unbroken by betrayal, uncorrupted by temptation. This is the essence of greatness, not talent, not chance, not privilege, but the unyielding commitment to truth, to consistency, to honor. Such a man cannot be ignored, cannot be diminished, cannot be forgotten. He becomes a force, and forces do not fade. They endure. Got it. You want a 13-section script outline, each section carrying the same weight and word count, deeply motivational in style, designed for a faceless YouTube motivational video based on the title, 11 Signs That You Should End Every Relationship, even if it is your family or a friend. Here's the full script outline. Not the full 500-word sections yet, just the structured breakdown with emotional depth and flow. Script outline Section 1. The hidden weight of toxic bonds introduce the idea that not all relationships are meant to last. Some connections are anchors pulling us down instead of wings lifting us higher. Build urgency by showing how unhealthy bonds destroy confidence, peace, and self-worth. Make the audience feel the invisible chains they may already be carrying. Section 2. The courage to see truth. Focus on the psychology of denial. Explain how the human mind protects itself by justifying harmful behaviors from family or friends. Highlight the courage it takes to admit that love does not excuse harm, and truth must outweigh tradition or guilt. Inspire the audience to value honesty over comfort. Section 3. The power of self-respect. Shift into self-worth. Explain that every healthy bond is rooted in respect, and where respect is missing, love cannot survive. Guide the audience into recognizing that enduring disrespect slowly erodes their identity, and choosing distance is an act of reclaiming dignity. Section 4. Emotional manipulation and control. Expose manipulation tactics. Guilt tripping, silent treatment, emotional blackmail. Use sharp, simple language to make listeners recognize these behaviors in their own lives. Show how manipulation erodes freedom, silences truth, and breeds shame. Call for awareness as the first step to breaking free. Section 5. The silent destruction of negativity. Talk about negativity as poison. Highlight how constant criticism, judgment, and pessimism infect the mind and spirit. Explain the science of emotional contagion, how moods spread like viruses, and why protecting energy from toxic people is a survival need, not selfishness. Section 6. The illusion of obligation. Challenge the cultural and societal programming that says we must keep every bond because of blood, history, or shared past. Explain that obligation is not love, it is bondage. Teach that true love is chosen daily, not forced by guilt or fear. Freeing yourself from false obligations is an act of strength. Section 7. Signs of betrayal and broken trust. Emphasize the finality of betrayal. Explain how broken trust is nearly impossible to rebuild, and why allowing betrayal to continue is self-abandonment. Connect to the audience emotionally, urging them to stop excusing actions that dishonor them. Section 8. The drain of one-sided relationships. Focus on imbalance. Highlight how healthy relationships are built on give and take, but toxic ones demand endlessly while giving nothing. Use emotional, powerful phrases to show the pain of being the only one who invests, cares, or sacrifices. Inspire them to walk away from one-sidedness. Section 9. The danger of stagnation. Explain how toxic relationships freeze growth. Show that when people cannot celebrate your progress or actively hold you back, they become obstacles to destiny. Motivate the audience to see leaving not as rejection, but as expansion into who they were meant to be. Section 10. Fear, guilt, and control mechanisms. Break down how toxic individuals use fear, guilt, or shame to control others. Connect this with psychology, how fear locks people in unhealthy cycles. Inspire with the idea that choosing freedom over fear is the highest form of courage. Section 11. When support turns into sabotage. Paint the picture of those who disguise sabotage as care. People who mock dreams, discourage ambitions, or plant seeds of doubt under the mask of concern. Explain how sabotage robs lives of potential. Push the audience to sever ties with anyone who poisons their vision. Section 12. Reclaiming freedom and peace bring hope and empowerment. Show that ending toxic ties is not loss but liberation. Use uplifting, motivational language about peace, mental clarity, energy, and authentic love. Paint a vision of life lived free of chains. Drive emotional relief and anticipation for transformation. Section 13. Choosing yourself without guilt. End with a climax of empowerment. Explain that walking away, even from family or friends, is not betrayal. It is survival, self-love, and courage. Leave the audience with a rallying cry. You do not owe anyone your destruction. You owe yourself your freedom, your growth, your life. Would you like me to expand this into the full 13-500-word section script, keeping the exact motivational flow and intensity you asked for, so it reads like a professional YouTube voiceover? Have you ever wondered why some relationships feel less like love and more like a slow, invisible weight pressing down on your spirit? You keep telling yourself, it's just a rough patch, just a misunderstanding, just the way things are. But deep down, in the quiet moments when the noise fades, you know something isn't right. You feel it in your chest, a heaviness that lingers even when they're not around. You feel it in your thoughts, the constant second-guessing, the self-doubt, the unease. And you feel it in your soul, that quiet whisper telling you that this connection isn't lifting you, it's breaking you. The truth is, not every relationship is meant to last. Not every bond was built to help you rise. Some are designed only to chain you down, to drain your energy, to keep you trapped in cycles of pain disguised as loyalty. And it hurts to admit it, because the very people who should be your strength sometimes become the very people who strip it away. The people you hoped would protect your heart can end up being the ones who wound it the most. That's a reality so many ignore, but ignoring it doesn't make it less true. What if the love you keep holding on to is the very thing destroying you? What if the loyalty you keep giving is only tightening the noose around your own happiness? Every time you silence your pain for the sake of peace, you hand over a piece of your freedom. Every time you excuse toxic behavior because it's family, or it's history, or it's just who they are, you betray yourself a little more. And that betrayal cuts deeper than anything anyone else could do to you, because it's you abandoning yourself for the sake of someone else. You weren't born to carry chains disguised as relationships. You weren't created to spend your life shrinking yourself just to fit into the small space someone else allows you. You were meant for growth, for freedom, for love that empowers you, not love that imprisons you. And the sooner you realize that some connections aren't bridges but walls, the sooner you take back the power to walk away. Ask yourself, why do you stay tied to those who only break you down? Is it fear of being alone? Is it guilt planted in your mind that leaving is betrayal? Or is it the illusion that things will change, even though deep down you know they never will? Whatever the reason, understand this: your peace is more valuable than their approval. Your growth is more important than their comfort.